Hello, Michigan Food, Bev, and Biz Club. Welcome to our annual showcase. This year, we're doing an entire virtual event around entrepreneurialism in food. And as I'm sure future Steve has explained to you, our guests today are founders and executives of different food startups. Coincidentally, I've been quarantining with some of my very good friends here in Florida, watching them over the past month develop their own company to address one of the largest problems in our aquatic environments through food and through other market incentives. So without further ado, let me introduce you to my two friends that are going to kick off this showcase, Arav and Roland.
All right.
Say what's up, guys.
Hey, y'all.
All right, Roland and Arav, introduce yourselves and tell us what you were doing before you decided to start this company.
Yeah. So I'm Roland Salatino. Before this, I was working at Gallagher, which is a large insurance brokerage. I was a strategy and operations consultant. As awesome and fun as that was, I decided, you know what, it's time to take a jump and go into something new. I was actually about to go off to HBS, but then we had an idea for a startup, and we decided, you know what, now is the time.
You guys just jumped right in. That's
absolutely.
Awesome. How about you, Arav?
Well, I was just wrapping up a 3-year stint at consulting at McKinsey. Connected with this guy after a few years, and yeah, decided to jump right in.
You guys are really good friends from high school, right?
So even before.
Since we were about 9 years old.
Just dreaming of fish.
From day one.
Yeah, for our viewers here, this startup focuses on one of the most invasive and dangerous predators our oceans have ever seen, called the lionfish. Roland, what's a lionfish?
Yeah, you nailed it, Steve. It is an invasive predator from Indo-Pacific waters that has been destroying our aquatic ecosystems. Every reef it touches kills 80% of life there.
80% of life?
Absolutely.
Wow. And we have some lionfish too, right?
Yeah, I can show you some if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold it up to the camera.
Here we go. All right. So this ugly, sometimes beautiful looking thing is a lionfish. You can see it's got venomous spines all over it. It's a monster. It'll destroy every bit of life that it can find.
Yeah, nature's way of saying don't touch.
Yeah, exactly.
And Roland, how did these fish become such a large problem for Florida and for other bodies of water as well?
Yeah, the leading theory is that they were pets that accidentally got let go into the ocean. And from there, these things have spread like wildfire. And now they've spread from Boston to Brazil, and they're even showing up in the Mediterranean.
So, as you said, 80% of life on coral reef, it decimates.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any predators? It doesn't have anything else to balance out that force?
Nothing here at least.
Wow.
It's those spines make nothing here want to eat it. And because it looks so weird, the fish that it feeds on they don't recognize it as prey.
Wow, okay.
As a predator.
So how do we stop them then? How do we catch them?
It's a tough question, Steve. And that's actually the toughest question that we've been trying to work with here, because you can't drop a line in the water. You can't drag a net because they hide in the reefs. We have to send people down hundreds of feet below the ocean surface to spear every one of them by hand.
These are guys, scuba divers with spears that these guys meet with on a regular basis. That is so cool. So that's where your company comes in. You are a big believer in market incentives. How does your company approach the lionfish problem?
So it's really interesting because a lot of the seafood that we eat today is as much determined by economics as it is by taste. So think salmon. It's a larger fish. The fish you saw was a small lionfish, but because they're smaller, we have to drive a little bit more value out of the fish in order to make it worth it for the divers to go down to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, scuba diving is expensive. It's fun. If you haven't done it, you need to. But it's really expensive. So we're looking at ways to maximize the value that we pull out of every single lionfish so we can make it worth it.
So that's the key. And how do you guys increase the market value of a lionfish?
A few ways. I'll call out a couple right now. One, a lot of people, because they have venomous spines, don't want to touch them. You probably don't want to get stabbed by them, and because you won't die, but people who do describe it as you wish you would have. So because of that, a lot of people don't want to handle it. So what we do is we try to process that risk out of the equation for them, so that we'd end up just giving them fillets that are safe to handle, no risk involved, no chance of getting envenomated. So that's one.
Yeah.
The second thing is that we're trying to actually play with the skin itself and turning it into other products that can, again help drive up the value. In particular, we're playing with some of the larger ones. We can get a decent amount of actually leather out of it.
Yeah.
So fish leather is a little bit newer. It's a little bit up and coming. So we're playing around with getting this turned into fish leather.
Got it. So those are two angles, and it sounds like there's at least a somewhat decent market for lionfish fillets, but the leather is brand new, right?
Entirely new, yeah.
That's where you guys come in. So what stage are you at in making the leather component of the lionfish?
Across the board, we're very, very early. So, but in general, specifically on the leather, we've actually played with some prototypes. We've gotten some good brand feedback. We're iterating with them, and we're, pushing things along. So early feedback's been really positive. People like to engage with products, whether it's food or leather, that tell a really interesting story, and people like to feel like their actions and their decisions help the world. Yeah,
because that's what we're doing here. We're creating products that if you buy, you're actively contributing to a cleaner, safer ocean.
Yeah, there are very few products where you buy something and it is net positive for the world. A lot of places are trying to be net neutral, but this is one where you can actually be net positive.
Great. And Roland, you and I have been at the startup for 4 months now. How are the problems that you're solving today different from the problems that you were solving 4 months ago?
In some ways they are entirely different. In some ways, some of them are still the same. Things move so fast in a startup. The problems that we start with in the morning, we're already working on different ones by the end of the day. One of the big ones for us has been, supply chain, because this is a fish. Like I said, we have to go down and spear them all by hand. So that remains a big problem and a big nut to crack for this whole endeavor. In other ways, everything's changed just in 4 months. Like the entire landscape of where we started off, it feels so long ago. Just a simple, how do we break into this market? How do we start making the contacts? What are the other products you can make from a fish?
Yeah.
We've got so much more clarity on. We're moving on. Hell, we have actual leather prototypes.
Actual leather prototypes.
And it's bizarre to think about. These things, these ideas we started with are coming together and are real now. And so the problems have gone from, I wonder if we can actually make leather out of this thing, to where does this leather exist? What other things can we make? Where do these products have a home?
And it's invigorating too. I can see it on both of your faces each and every day. The effort that you put into is actually driving forward a solution that is 100% your own.
Absolutely. It's all been original. It's all been brand new. It is thrilling. We sleep and we dream about lionfish.
At this point,
it's
I'm
crazy.
not surprised at all. Arv, over the past 4 months, what's been the biggest thing that you've learned?
Learning how to experiment a hypothesis against a market is so much more valuable than kind of approaching something with a random kind of vision. So saying, okay, I think this is how the world could look like with lionfish leather, and actually taking that guess and throwing it at the market is actually really helpful, rather than saying, oh, let's build this guess out completely. Because there have been many things that we thought made sense and we've thrown it at the market, and the market's just like, oh, hell no. And some of them that we thought weren't really interesting, and some of them come back with, show me more.
Got it. Roland, this next question is for you. In 5 years, where do you see this company? Because in 5 years, I can see how I want to interact with this company. I want to use my MBA salary and my MBA bonus to buy myself a diver's watch with some fresh lionfish leather on the wrist. But Roland, looking at your company, where do you want to take it in 5 years?
Oh yeah, there's so much diversity and variety in terms of the products we want to be able to achieve. We see a lot of very interesting innovation coming in here, and that's one of the big things we are focused on is bringing creative approaches. And one of the biggest things that can lead to with this problem in particular is harnessing AI and robotics to really try to get underwater. And like we said, one of the big supply problems here is the fact that humans have to dive down and spear these fish in the head one by one. We think there may be some other solutions there that can make it much more cost effective to put these fish on people's plates and, like you said, on people's wrists with watches.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first, guys. 5 years from now, fish hunting robots and Steve wearing a Rolex. You heard it here first. Lightning round. Before we go, guys, I just want to ask you some really quick questions about the dynamic of your startup. First off, who is the most organized?
Who's that for, me or
Both of you. It's a lightning round. You guys got to jump out with the answer.
I think it's ours.
I'm going to take that one, yeah.
All right, ours is the most organized.
That's ours.
You see the sticky notes on the wall here in a true startup fashion. Next question, who works the hardest?
Oh, I don't. We both work in different ways and throw a lot of energy and like, I don't know, we both recognize that there are certain areas where our energy is going to achieve a lot more.
What he's saying is he'll be up at 6 and I'll be up till 2.
Yeah.
Yep. I can confirm having lived with these guys that's exactly how it works. Last question, who is the biggest liability to this company?
Oh my god.
It's gotta be Steve. It's Steve.
It's gotta be
really.
me.
That's you, man.
Setting the house on fire somehow. I don't know. All right, guys.
I'm
Well,
about to toss you under the bus.
well, thank you guys so much for kicking us off, introducing yourselves and your company to incoming class of MBA graduates who might have some inklings about what the food world could look like from their perspective, and are just looking for the jump, the push off the edge to just pursue it full time like you guys have.
All right.
So thank you guys so much.
Well,
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. All right, and stay tuned for more speakers coming up soon.